One of the biggest complaints that entrepreneurs have is that their audience doesn't move across the line to becoming customers quickly enough. And we talk a lot about, the BS of the pace at which an audience member will become a customer. And it is fairly slow usually. But how do you help them make that cross? They usually have some objections. And today, Claudia Schalks and I are going to talk about these objections, what to do with them, and how to deal with them without feeling kind of sleazy or pushy or aggressive, because that's what we hear all the time that entrepreneurs are trying to avoid. So welcome, Claudia, my friend. It's 3 p.m. in the Netherlands, yes?
Yeah, my Friday is looming. My weekend is looming.
She's close to her weekend.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about this word objections. It's a dirty word.
Yeah, it's not a dirty word. It holds the key to turning potential customers into clients. The thing is, there is usually something that prevents us from taking the decision, and it's very rarely about money. So when you get, I don't have the money, don't fall into the trap. If you don't take action, you will lose so much money. That's not money. Is very rarely the issue.
Can you talk a little bit more about? Can you go into that?
Yes. The thing is, there is something called price and there is something called value.
What was the first one?
Price.
Oh, price. Yes.
The money. Baby.
Okay.
So price is one thing, and value is what people has in their minds for your product. So if your product is valuable for them, they will cross the bridge, money-wise. So if you really convince them and they think the product or service is for them, they will find the money. That is 99% of the cases, right? But there are things, especially for things that you've tried before in your life or before in your business, where you grow certain resistance. So let's suppose the example I gave you the other day about me being a nutritionist or a dietitian. So you would think that everybody that wants to lose weight, it could be my client. But the thing is, people want to lose weight for different reasons. So you need to speak to those reasons. For instance, if you are a recent mom, you are dealing with the baby fat. If you are an overweight mom, you are dealing with different issues. So you need to talk to what they are telling are their issues. So for instance, a new mom will say, I don't recognize my body, my clothing doesn't fit me anymore, I look like a potato bag with legs, my marital life is not working because I don't feel self-confident. And in this case, we never said because I am fat. That's the part we, as consultants, complete in the conversation.
Right.
So they say the symptoms and we say the problem. So in the case of being overweight, it's easy to say this is the problem, right?
Right.
But you have to pay attention to the symptoms and talk about the symptoms in your message. And that is the driver. Okay, so for instance, that is what will keep you going on. I want to have, energy to run after my child. I want to be in the pictures. The other example we used was an overweight mom not being able to join the attractions in a park because she wouldn't fit in one of those minuscule seats. Have to sit on one, and then she's not part of her family memories. So you have to speak to that longing, and that is the driver. And you need to figure out what is the driver, because the driver is part of your message. The other thing that is part of your message is the objection. It is, why if I have everything, you're still not doing it?
Yes. This is the big problem, right?
And that is the big problem. And for instance, in the case of a dietitian, it could be, for instance, that people don't want to go into an protein-only diet because they don't believe in shakes, or they don't want to let carbs go. For instance, if you come to me and you say you won't be able to eat rice and pasta, I am telling you goodbye.
Yes, I would rather be a size 14 than give up pasta.
Exactly. Or you say you have to give up your coffee for life. I am like, I can do it for 3 months, but then I will go back to coffee because I like the flavor of coffee.
Mm-hmm.
So the moment you discover what is preventing you from saying yes, you can add that to your message. For instance, in your case, you talk about having what you say, having more better content without working more or less is yours. So
Right.
the fear people has is that to create content, they will have to work more.
Right.
Okay. So you in your message, you already address the objection.
Right.
I can say marketing with no technical overwhelm. Because
Yes.
a lot of people understand that, knows that some part of your marketing you can automatize. But then, what does it mean? You can say search engine optimization without Google Analytics headaches.
Yes.
Because people understand you need Google Analytics, but they don't know how to read Google Analytics. So the moment you understand what is preventing people from making the decision, you include that in your first message or in your pitch.
Mm-hmm.
That goes in your pitch. I help you to get rid of your baby fat without giving up carbs.
Yes.
Or without needing to go to the gym. Or without living on carrots and celery.
Right.
Is the thing, right?
Right.
And then when you go to the extended version of your message, there you elaborate on the drivers.
So let's talk about why. So say you've done all of the things, you understood the symptoms, you've talked about it in your messaging, but you get on a sales call with somebody and they say, I can't afford it, or I have to ask my husband. We hear that a lot. Tell me, why is that the objection that most potential clients go to that keeps them an audience member and doesn't cross the line?
Well, for many entrepreneurs, their business is a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
So, the moment they have to commit seriously, either because, for instance, in a membership or in a 3-month program, you really need to work and show up and do the homework, etc.
Yes.
That it's already confronting. I am not a hobby anymore. I am a business.
Yes.
So, and hobby and business is what tells you what's hobby and business is in which direction the money goes. So if it leaves your pocket, it's a hobby. If it's in your pockets, it's a business. So that can be one of the things. The other things are, for instance, they don't feel entrepreneurial. They don't want to take the risk. They're not sure about their business.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, if you are starting in your business or you depend on your partner to make some important decisions about your business, then I would recommend that when you have these discovery calls, you ask this person if somebody else is involved in the business, in the decision making, and invite this other person to the call.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, you are the one giving the message, you are the one making the clarifications. So, invite your partner to the conversation, either your business partner or your life partner or your financial partner.
I think what all of this comes down to is people don't actually trust themselves. They use money because it is objective.
No, it's the easy way out.
Yes, it's totally like, oh, well, then you said you don't have the money. Then I won't, I can't talk about it anymore.
If you don't have the money, why do you jump in the discovery call?
Yes. And the other thing is people, when something really matters to people, they find the money. And I've done that myself. When I really want something, you find a way. For most people, they find a way. And I'm not advocating that we roll people. And that's a thing that's an American thing. I think like we roll people over their objections, and that never feels good. So I have this theory that when we get to a sales call, if we're going to reverse engineer this, we get to the sales call, we know we're going to have to roll people's objection. They're going to say, well, I don't have the money. I have to ask my husband, and I don't have the time right now, and whatever their objection is. Most of us are so conditioned that that's where the sales call ends up. It's a waste of our time. So why would you even want to do a sales call? Then why would you even want to market yourself if you know that the sales call is going to be where we end up, if it's going to be ultimately futile? So I have this theory. The reason we don't market ourselves is that we don't really want to get on sales calls anyway.
Well, the thing is, if you're selling it as a sales call or you're selling it as a discovery call.
Mm-hmm. But aren't they the same? I mean, do people?
No, they're not the same.
Oh, tell me this.
A discovery call is a discovery call. You know, it's a two-way conversation. I want to know if I am good for you, and you want to know, and I want to know if I am good for you, and vice versa. If you're good for me. So in a discovery call, you ask all the questions you need to qualify your potential client.
Mm-hmm.
If the conversation goes in the direction both parties agree, most probably the potential client will say, okay, how do we do it? How do we move forward? If you really have all the information, then you can say, I have a 3-month program, or I have a membership, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The thing is, we tend to jump into that part of the conversation without having figuring out if the client is so a discovery call becomes a sales call while the client is not qualified.
Yes. That's so good.
When you take the time to know your client, and for instance, if you have a signature system, you walk your client through your signature system and you ask the questions. Then you can say, okay, the reasons why you have this problem is because A, B, C, and D. For instance, in my case, the usual problems are you don't have fully understanding of your buying persona, your ideal client, your message is not clear, you don't have a clear offer, you don't have a system in place to attract clients, and you don't know how to manage the discovery calls. So naturally, people say they understand, they see the problems laid out, and they say, okay, what do I do?
And then you in the discovery call can help them with that.
And then you say, okay, I have a 3-month program, but I need to know more about you to see if the program is a good fit for you, and vice versa. And then you go into more questions. And then you can turn a discovery call into a sales call. But you cannot step into a discovery call fooling yourself that it's a sales call, because then you're being hypocritical with yourself and false towards your client.
Well, I think that this is a mental shift that people can make. So that, again, like, let's start at marketing. Marketing and sales are different. Marketing leads to sales. That's the goal. And in the marketing, are you dealing with the objections that your particular clients need and want to overcome, so that by the time you get on the discovery call, you're not stepping in thinking this is a sales call. You're stepping in thinking, I want to figure out whether this person is a good fit for what I have and whether I'm a good fit for what they need. So this is a tiny shift, but I think it can have monumental impact on people's marketing.
But it's the same thing when you're an employee and you are going to a job interview. Usually, as an employee, you only answer questions. You don't ask questions about your employer. And then you have the mismatch.
Yes.
And because many of us move from the corporate world into the entrepreneurship world, we do exactly the same things, except we don't have a boss putting goals to us. We don't have, but we have approached interviews the same way. And even worse, because many entrepreneurs are short on cash or want so desperate to have clients that they are willing to accept anybody as a client as long as cash comes in.
It's so true.
The thing is, you pay this on the long term. Certainly, there is a learning curve, and you learn more from bad clients than from good clients. But you can thrive on having bad clients. They also will give you bad name to your business. They won't give you results. You won't have good testimonials. So you need to understand that you need to qualify the client, and you need to give the client a fair chance to qualify you. And that's what a discovery call is for. So, if you call it discovery call, get to know me call, virtual coffee call, do what the call is. Do not have selling as the ultimate objective.
Right. So see, are we a good fit?
Yeah.
It's almost like a first date.
Yeah, it's exactly like a first date. I mean, if I go out with somebody I don't know and he says, let's get married, I am like, hello.
Right.
A lot. Besides,
So this is so basically, there's so many ways in our marketing to qualify our clients, or qualify our audience members to see if they would be good clients. This is a small shift, but I think it would have monumental effect on our marketing if we can do these things. So qualify your clients before they ever get on a discovery call. Stop thinking of a discovery call as we're going to wind up married. We're just actually going out for coffee. And in your content, your job is to be knowing their symptoms and talking about their symptoms, because those are the real objections not I don't have the money, I can't get permission, I don't have time. So that's a big thing that we just covered.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what? Many times when we talk about the problem and we forget to talk about the symptoms, what we're doing is we're expecting our audience to auto-diagnose themselves.
Yep.
You know, and if they can diagnose themselves, they wouldn't starting to have not even a discovery call. So you really need to talk about the symptoms. And then at some point you can link the symptoms to the problem, but you need to talk about the symptoms, which are the drivers.
So just to like step that out for people. If the problem is, and we're going to go back to your example, the problem is I am overweight. The symptom for somebody might be I won't look good at a reunion or a wedding I have coming up. But for somebody else, it might be I can't be involved in my family's life because I can't, whatever it is, fit in the airplane seat or want to be taken pictures of or whatever. So we have to talk specifically. So if the problem is weight, there's lots of different ways that this shows up in people's lives, right? Right. So you have to figure out which one you solve for and be very clear about that. When you and I had this conversation earlier this week, if you don't make that leap for people and show them the exact symptom you help solve for, you said we're expecting them to diagnose themselves, right?
Yeah.
But if you can keep holding up a mirror and painting the picture of the symptom, it's easier for them to see themselves. And it reminded me of when I was a teacher. I was an English teacher and an English professor, and my students would constantly have to write essays. And they would like make these claims or they would like use this quotation, but they would never link the two or explain things thoroughly, bringing it back to their thesis statement. I was always like, why are you throwing this in here? What does it mean? Why is it important? How does it prove your thesis statement? And they expected me as the reader to make all of those mental links. Like I was supposed to do the hard work.
Exactly.
Our audience is not supposed to do the hard work. We are supposed to make it easy for them to see themselves in our marketing.
Exactly. Yes. For instance, the example you brought forward about the lady going back to the school reunion, that is most probably a topic of vanity. So you should be talking about, do you want to fit in that dress? Have the same size? Do you want people to tell you that time hasn't passed and you look as gorgeous as you did 25 years ago? So those are the symptoms, that's what her driver. So if she's so desperate to look 25 years younger and have 6 size less, that's the driver. And if you can make that promise true, then it's a match made in heaven. And the same thing, the overweight lady, she complains she can get into the attraction seat, so she's not part of her family memory. She's the one making the pictures. She doesn't have energy to run behind her child. So if you start saying, we're going to the gym and you're going to live only on carrots and celery, you're not going to connect with this person. But instead, if you say, you really want to be part of your family memories, you really want to hold your child's hand in the roller coaster, you want to yell your lungs out next to your child, then because you need to strike the emotion. It's not only the facts. You also need to strike on the emotion, because the emotion is what connects us as human beings. A lot of people say strike on the emotion because that's what will get you the sale. No, the emotion is what connects us as human beings. And the emotion is what lets me know that you understand me. And that's where the trust, etc. happens. Because we link on the emotion.
It's not only what connects us, it's also what causes us to take action. We don't take action until we are feeling something we don't want to feel anymore.
Exactly. Yes, that is what gets us to search for a solution. It's not what gets us to make the decision. It gets us to search for the solution. What gets you to make the decision is that you find somebody that understands you, removes the objections, and you have the trust this person will deliver.
Well, that's the other. I want to talk about one last thing before we go. The trusting you will deliver. I think it's important in our content and our marketing to talk about the not all of the hows and not all of our framework and everything, but if your solution is not meeting somebody's needs and you're not clear about that, then you've lost their trust. So I joined a program last year that was all about healthy eating and a different, healthier lifestyle, and done through nutrition. But I didn't find out until I got into the program that it was a vegetarian program. And I don't want to be a vegetarian. That is not another hurdle I want to add into my life. So I felt like, oh, that's not what I wanted. And it didn't work for me. I was like, right from the get-go, I'm like, I don't have any interest in this. Or if somebody joined my program and they were looking for scripts and daily prompts for social media, that's not what I provide, because I think that just makes life harder. So if I promise, like, oh, come into my membership and it's all about like plug and play everything, like that would be false, because I never provide that. I don't even believe in that.
But the thing is, we as entrepreneurs tend to see our products and services from a default position. Yes. And this is another topic for another call. But we need to see what are the other possible positionings of our program, and start to see it. We need to see our business from the eyes of our potential client.
Oh, that is it right there. So our job is to see our businesses I'm going to write that in. Our job is to see our businesses from the eyes of a potential client. Yes.
Yeah.
How does getting the framework done that you teach help with all of this? How could this solve this problem?
Well, the framework helps you to have clarity on your message, clarity on your buying persona, clarity on the service you deliver. It helps you to also deliver your service in a given period of time. But it also helps you to do content, which then again circles back to the service you're delivering. It also helps you during your discovery calls, because, for instance, my framework is Unravel Your Marketing, and my departing point is people have absolutely no idea or are tired of the lack of results in marketing, and at the end they know exactly what to do with. So the first thing I ask is, tell me about your client. And from the answer, I can tell if they really know their client inside out or not. And I continue to ask things that are related to my signature system, which is a marketing roadmap. Depending on the answers, then I can make a diagnosis. And I say, okay, here you have problems, here you have problems, this is working, but because you have problems here and here, this is not going to perform the way you want. So you lay out the problem based on your signature system, which increases your chance, not only that the other person understands better what kind of problem they have, but understands better how you can help them. And in addition, because you have a process, you can guarantee that you can deliver results, because it's a tried out process. And that increases the value in the eyes of this person, and that allows you to raise the price as well. So it's a kind of a pillar in your marketing strategy.
Yeah, and it also ultimately, everything you just said helps you overcome objections, because you know clearly if this person's a good fit, what kind of person you're looking for. You're attracting the right kind of client for your framework versus just splattering your message everywhere and hoping that somebody shows up.
And you have coherence all throughout your marketing.
Yes. Well, in the comments, I've outlined all of the topics that we talked about today. If you have any questions, come back and tag us, because we are happy to come back and answer these questions. But objections is something that once we understand them more clearly, we can kind of stave them off without being salesy or rolling people. And so, Claudia, I'm always appreciative for your insights and your examples.
Thank you.
We'll talk to you next week. Bye, everybody. Bye.